special attention, not only on the flight protocols, but all other places, because these are men and women who have, when we are asleep, they are serving us. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Members, join me in welcoming in the public gallery a group of university students from various universities who come from the constituency. They have come to follow proceedings of Parliament today, and they are welcome to do so this afternoon. Thank you. This chance goes to the member for Busia.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I just want to mourn properly so I can come to terms and accept and finally move on. The general has left. He was buried, yes, but the truth has not yet been buried. We need thorough investigation with trusted people to carry it. I have been looking into a lifestyle of a soldier in Kenya. It is pigeonholed. They do not have a life. Everything about a soldier is grim news. It wounds me more to see how easily people can bury a general and forget immediately and try to come with narratives that gives us a scar deeper than it shouldn't be. A true soldier, especially those in Kenya, they are so exposed to toxins. I do not know how they protect themselves or what is provided to them, because most of the times we just see them in easy, simple fabric, the uniforms they wear that are not protective enough. Those who work in cold areas, intense cold, and those who are in places that cause them to be dehydrated. Some of them collapse not because they were weak, but because of electrolysis imbalance in their body, dehydration. What they are given is not enough for anybody to carry the duties they do. The safety around them is a concern to me. They go through something that is called, I think, post-traumatic stress disorder, because most of the soldiers, even those who are retired and they are in the villages, they look like they are crazy, they look like they are mad, something is just a mess about them. But it's because of what they face day in, day out during their work. When I look at the pay slip and compare with what a soldier does, it is an ocean apart. I think we should improve their lifestyle, their livelihood, where they stay, because I see even in Busia some rusted shanty, round, a hut kind of, a house that it shouldn't even be occupied by any human being. But that is where, unfortunately, our soldiers live. And now seeing what happened the other day, a whole general, that helicopter, I don't think anybody even bothered to look into the mechanical side and everything else, because it is still, to me, a myth. I need somebody to unfold, put every detail openly. So as I mourn, I finally accept our soldiers are suffering, whether on the lower level or high-ranking level. Our soldiers need us to look into their status with more keenness as human beings. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Gikaria. A member for Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important motion. I wish to thank the Honorable Captain Rueda for such a progressive motion that she has brought before this House. Honorable Speaker, this is a perfect motion in honor of the departed CDF, the General Gola. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of the Marakwet community, the land which led to the demise of the CDF, I wish to convey my deepest condolences. And Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that we lost the CDF in our land. Honorable Speaker, we believe that, and I believe that the death of CDF Ogola should serve as a pointer to the serious insecurity issues that we have in Kerio Valley. Of course, we cannot attribute the death of Ogola to the insecurity issues, but he was on a mission to ensure that the valley is stable. Honorable Speaker, that valley, Kerio Valley, which took away the life of Ogola, is a land under militia. And I hope we shall sit down as a country and be able to rethink on how we can be able to bring or to stabilize the issue of security along Kerio Valley. Because, Honorable Speaker, it is a challenge that as a country we must sit down and we'll be able to discuss broader ways to be able to stabilize Kerio Valley, which is prone to insecurity and which is currently under militia. So, Honorable Speaker, I hope this government will take proactive action to ensure that this particular area is safe so that we do not have incidences that lead to the loss of lives. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the letter, the intent, and the spirit of this motion. Honorable Speaker, I was brought up by a military father, and I know the challenges that the military personnel face in this country. Honorable Speaker, sometimes they do not get the fair share of the cake in terms of the input that they put in order for our borders and us to be safe as a country. Honorable Speaker, the loss of Ogola, CDF, is a tragedy of monumental proportions because this is a man who has been eulogized as a distinguished military officer, and his life has inspired so many people, not only as a military officer, but the way he lived. He is a gentleman, and he was a gentleman and shall remain a gentleman par excellence. Honorable Speaker, CDF Ogola, his memoirs, his name should be permanently inscribed in the annals of history of this country. His name should be permanently inscribed in the Kenya's Hall of Fame as an officer who served this country with honor, distinction, and with integrity. Honorable Speaker, insofar as the motion is concerned, in terms of order of precedence, because we passed this motion as a House, but a motion cannot give us a solution. A motion must be acted upon, and the way to act upon this motion is to pass either a regulation, a subsidiary law, or a statute. Honorable Speaker, in this House I've seen there is an order of precedence bill which has been pending before this House since 2014. We need to reconstitute and to resuscitate that particular motion and that particular bill so that we have the order of precedence recognize the Kenya Defense Forces. Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that sometimes we recognize other people in this House that do not deserve that recognition. So I believe that if that bill is resuscitated, that is the order of precedence bill of 2014, if it is brought to this House, we pass, we ensure that in the order of precedence of this country, we give a befitting order to the Kenya Defense Forces so that their place in this country is reserved. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Well said. Member for Luanda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. for the opportunity given to me this morning to also add my voice to this important discourse. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, allow me on my own behalf and that of the people of Rwanda pass my condolences to the family of General Gola and the 9 who perished in a very, very unfortunate incident that led to the loss of life. To great men that serve this country with great dedication, serve this country with a lot of loyalty, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate that at a time like this, we can lose our dear ones, and also great men who commit to work for this country by sacrificing themselves, by exposing and even risking their lives, Mr. Speaker, for the sake of our own peace. Mr. Speaker, I stand with these families at this point in time and that of the people of Rwanda. Secondly, allow me also say thank you to Madam Rueda, Mheshimiwa Rueda, who has come up with a motion that will move a long way in recognizing and appreciating our soldiers. It is a fact that the military and the soldiers play a great role in ensuring that our borders are safe, in ensuring there's peace and tranquility in our country from external aggression. And Mr. Speaker, this is a group of people who are rarely acknowledged, despite the fact that they sacrifice most of their lives in risky environments. They work in very volatile situations, sometimes even having to lose their lives defending this nation. And therefore, the idea of establishing a priority boarding protocol for these great people is very much welcome, Mr. Speaker. And I stand to support and say that indeed it's a time that we did acknowledge and accord our gallant men and women the opportunity to be treated different for the great public, Mr. Speaker. I like the idea that we give them priority in our local airports, in banking halls, Mr. Speaker. The same should extend to our medical facilities and any other place, Mr. Speaker, that these great men and women will go seeking service. Because as you say, Mr. Speaker, these are people who need serious motivation. When we sleep in the comfort of our houses, more often than not, these men and women are out in the field protecting our borders, Mr. Speaker. When we enjoy the privileges that come with the offices some of us hold, Mr. Speaker, these men and women are never recognized and acknowledged. And therefore, this motion is timely. This motion is very much in time, more so at a time when this country is mourning the loss of dear ones, the loss of a general who was admired, a general who was a great mentor, a general who was a good example, a general, Mr. Speaker, who lived beyond what people expected, Mr. Speaker, because he was such a humble man. And therefore, this motion has come in time, Mr. Speaker, that we need to acknowledge and reward these people, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, as we talk about priority protocol, let us also look at the kind of equipment our military are using. It is unfortunate that at this point in time, our soldiers continue using military equipment that are old, outdated. And Mr. Speaker, it was a high time that this country looked at the welfare of our soldiers. Because I believe and do believe, Mr. Speaker, that were we using military equipment that are modern, then maybe, just maybe, we could not have lost the dear soldiers that we lost recently. And therefore, I stand to support this motion and congratulate Mheshimiwa Rueda for having thought of such a good idea in time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you. Mwafu Kisauni.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa na mimi nipenyeze sauti yangu katika mswada huu. Kwanza nimpongeze mjumbe wa Lamu.
Honorable Daud, this was your chance, but you keep fidgeting. That's why I passed you on this one. This chance was yours, but you keep fidgeting and carrying your hands up. That's why I've not given you. If you just keep your cool and keep your seat, you'll get your chance. This was your chance actually, but you keep fidgeting, carrying your papers up. It doesn't work like that. Honorable Member, go ahead.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nipongeze mjumbe wa Lamu Mashariki kwa kuleta mswada huu, na hasa mswada wake katika uwazi ni kwamba anataka maofisa wa jeshi wapewe heshima zao. Na hii sana ameileta kwa sababu ya mchakato anaoona unaoendelea katika eneo lake bunge. Kwa sababu pale ni karibu na msitu wa Boni, anawaona wanajeshi wakihangaika, anaona wanajeshi hawalali, anaona wakati wa mafuriko wanaishi katika mashimo ambayo yako na maji, wakiwa wanalinda doria kuhakikisha kwamba adui haingii kwetu. Kwa hivyo ni kweli kuwapa heshima wanajeshi ni vyema zaidi. Ni watu ambao wanajitolea kukaa mbali na familia zao, watoto wao, wakifika tu ni mwezi mmoja miili wanarudi. Kwa hivyo ni vyema sana wapewe heshima zao, na hapa amezungumzia kuhusu kwamba ikiwa wanaabiri ndege wawe wanapewa kipaumbele. Ni kweli mataifa mengi sana, nimeenda hata Uturuki, wanapewa kipaumbele sana, wanaingia ni kwa sababu wako ndani ya ndege ile ya abiria ama ndege aina yote, lakini chochote cha kiusalama kitokea, yeye anaingia kazini, hawezi kusema mimi niko leave. Kwa hivyo ni vyema sana wapewe nafasi hiyo, ingawa si wote wanajeshi wanaopanda ndege. Kuna wanajeshi wanawaya kabisa, wanapanda matatu, na wengine hata wanakwenda kwa miguu. Sasa tutafute ni njia gani ya kuwaheshimu si tu wale wanaopanda ndege, hata wale wanaotembea kwa miguu kwenye ofisi zozote za serikali zinazotolewa huduma, ili wakifika wapewe kipaumbele, kwa sababu in case of anything ama chochote kitakachotokea wakati wowote pale alipo yeye, ni lazima wataambiwa, itatoka matangazo, wanajeshi wote warudi kambini saa hizi na kuna hili na hili. Kwa hivyo ikiwa ameenda katika huduma center, ameenda katika ofisi za serikali, anapewa kipaumbele na familia yake, na anatoka pale mahali kwa haraka sana. Na pia sisi tunataka kuwapa heshima na wao waendelee na heshima. Tunawaheshimu sana wanajeshi wetu. Tangu tupate uhuru mwaka 63 kumetokea upuzi katika serikali mara mbili, pengine wakati wa mheshimiwa hayati Kenyatta mwaka fulani, na halafu ikatokea wakati wa mheshimiwa hayati Moi, mapinduzi kidogo, lakini yalikuwa muda mchache tu ya walevi, lakini wanajeshi wengi sana wanaheshima wa Kenya. Tunawashukuru sana. Na pia tusiwasahau, ningemwomba the mover wa hii motion asisahau vikosi vya usalama vya ndani, angeviingiza ndani, kwa sababu hapa ndani pia, kule nje tunalindwa. Hatuwezi kuwa na chochote ambako cha maendeleo kitafanyika kama hatuna ulinzi wa nje, lakini kuna ulinzi wa ndani ambao pia hawalali. Mimi Mheshimiwa Spika, nimefanya kikosi cha GSU miaka 9, najua kazi gani ngumu wale wanafanya. Tunaishi msituni, unaishi kule kwa msitu paka unafanana na nugu. Kazi ngumu. Iko wakati sisi tulikuwa tumekaa katika, nikupa mfano, tulikuwa Chepchoina, tunapambana na wezi wa mifugo, kukatokea shida Mount Elgon huko juu, sisi tuko katikati, ikabidi kelele tumesikiza wananchi juu, tukabidi sisi tutoke pale katikati kwenda huko juu, na wale majambazi kule juu wanarusha risasi kuja chini ambazo zinawaka moto tunaziona, lakini we have to go, lazima kwenda kuokoa maisha. Kwa hivyo hata vikosi vyetu vya usalama wa ndani wanapata shida sana, ambayo ni vizuri zaidi pia nao waingizwe katika hiyo, kwamba wapewe heshima zao. La mwisho, naona time yangu nataka kwenda, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba huduma za afya kwa hawa askari ni muhimu sana. Wengi wanatoka katika hizi sehemu za wakati wameretire, wamestaafu, wanakuwa wagonjwa sana, hawawezi kujitibu kwa sababu hakuna fedha wanapata za kutosha ambazo zajiendeleza. Ni zile huduma za afya tuwakubalie, hata kama yeye kwa vile alifanya kikosi cha ulinzi wa usalama ndani na nje, wapewe hata kama wamestaafu, waweze kuendelea na huduma hiyo, kwa sababu wengi huwa wagonjwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimepiga attention miaka 9 mpaka nasikia hichi kiuno sengine kina tabu, lakini inabidi nijitibu mwenyewe, ambao serikali ingetosha ichukue jukumu hilo. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa watu wako na familia, wengi wao familia zao wanarandaranda, hawasomi baada wamestaafu. Tuwasaidieni wawe kila
vyema. Member for North Imenti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, not that I'm raising because I counted and you told me you're following the list, so that is why I wanted to speak according to the list. And this is not the first time, Mr. Speaker, you are doing this to me. I'm a senior member as well, so I have to be respected as well, but that is not the question today. The question, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in supporting this motion of the establishment of boarding protocols for Kenya Defence Forces. But Mr. Speaker, it is not just the Kenya Defence Forces which should be given the priority. it is all uniformed officers, because I believe even the police officers who guard us at night when we are sleeping, they need to be respected as well. Like Honorable Benzema has said, even the GSU who go to fight the bandits are officers who need respect. Mr. Speaker, it is not just regarding aeroplanes or aircraft when they board, because like you said, it's many of them probably cannot even afford to go on a plane. But Mr. Speaker, we need to give them special passes to access medical care, to go in front of the line, if there is a line in front of even the members of parliament, Mr. Speaker, because they need, even if they go to a banking hall, if they stand in a queue and there is an emergency, who will protect the people? So, Mr. Speaker, we need to put the protocols. And Mr. Speaker, it is a pity that the other day we lost General Ogola and his colleagues, Brigadier Said and all of them. And people, the only thing they could think of, the people who were there, the only thing they could think of was to steal the items on the people who are either dead or who are fighting for their lives. Mr. Speaker, we need to get over this thing of accidents, even car accidents, where people try to steal from the unfortunate who have been involved in accidents. Mr. Speaker, it should prick the conscience of this country, of our people. How far can we fall down? Because if there is an accident today on the Meru-Nyanyuki Road or Meru-Nairobi Road, and something, we are not saying that we want to have accidents, but something happens, and you will see a lot of people just rushing. Some of them will be helping, but some will be helping themselves to the watches, to the wallets, to the personal belongings of the accident victims. Mr. Speaker, we, as well as we condole with General Ogola's family, because his wife even comes from Meru County, and we say sorry to him and to the family, but we even need to remember that there were others who died with General Ogola. There was Captain Soro, who was buried maybe the next day, Brigadier Said Swale, and others as well, Colonel Kitani. So we need to remember all who died in the line of duty, as well as the ones who are dying, because as we are speaking right now, we have a burial in Bore constituency of an army officer who was killed by bandits stealing our cows and goats in Meru County. Mr. Speaker, we need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to see how we are going to do more for our uniformed officers, because they deserve it, and it's not that they don't deserve it. So I congratulate my sister, Captain Rueda, for this, because I think it's right, but we need even to add that any public place, the uniformed officers, not just the KDF, all uniformed officers, wherever they go, they are provided with VIP entrance so that they can be served. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Thank you. Member for Isiolo South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to air my views. One for one, I will take the earliest opportunity equally to send my condolences and that one of Isiolo South, the great people of Isiolo. Condolences to the all soldiers who have fallen. In fact, one of them comes from my area, and we always pray for them that God will rest their souls in eternal peace. Mr. Speaker, this is now becoming more or less like monotonous. What is happening in Kenya? Death out of plane crashes carrying distinguished people. It has happened. And this thing has something to do cattle rustling, clan rivalry, and all these things. For how long are we going to go to all this whenever we are going to send some dignified people, sending to sort out some of these issues, barbaric issues, like cattle rustling and ethnic clashes? And then in the end, the result is that people's lives are lost. We have lost enough, and I don't know how long we are going to wait for until we try to remove some of these things, these barbaric cultures of clan rivalry, of banditry, and all these things. To the point, to the motion, I'm also thanking Captain Rueda for presenting this one. It is timely because the mood of the country is about KDF because of the death of the personnel. And I think it's the high time we have to think about. It's just too little to be given this protocol, because it's rewarding them and motivating them and giving them, okay, that they are recognized wherever we are. That one will still, although we have done very little in trying to motivate our people, we have seen them in the war fronts in Somalia, we have heard about them, and they have lost their lives in many places trying to defend us. So giving them this small token of appreciation, I think is in line, and I support. Thank you.
Member for Kwale. The Honorable Masito, this is the opportunity.
Hoja iliyoko mbele ya bunge hili wa Lamu Mashariki. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kusema ukweli, kwanza nianze kutoa pole zangu kwa familia ya wale wanajeshi waliofariki hivi majuzi katika mkasa ule wa ndege. Itakuwa si vibaya serikali kuangalia na kuchunguza kwa kina nasema poleni kwa familia, na pia katika mswada huu wa kuangalia ndugu zetu basi niseme asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii. Pia nitoe pole zangu kwa familia ya wanajeshi wetu waliofariki hivi majuzi kwa mkasa ule wa ndege. Niseme pole sana. Na pia sisi Waislamu, Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaamini kweli mauti yako, na kila mtu aliyezaliwa lazima siku moja atafikwa na mauti, na hakuna kitakachobaki katika hii dunia. Lakini mauti yakiwa yametokea kwa njia ya kutatanisha, si vibaya kufanyiwa uchunguzi na kujulikana kiini cha mauaji yale au cha kifo kile. Basi Mheshimiwa Spika, nikimuunga mkono dadangu Mheshimiwa Rueda, mbunge wa Lamu Mashariki, hoja hii iliyoko mbele ya bunge hili ya kuwatetea au kuwasaidia wale ndugu zetu wanajeshi au katika jeshi la polisi lililoko katika nje na ndani ya taifa hili kwa kazi nzuri sana wanayoifanya, lakini mimi naona serikali yetu bado haijawatambua. Mheshimiwa Spika, wanajeshi wanafanya kazi ngumu, wanafanya kazi ya kujitolea ambayo hata mimi na wewe Mheshimiwa Spika nina hakika tukipatiwa tutaiona ni kazi ngumu. Wanakaa nje siku nyingi au masaa mengi mbali na familia zao, ambapo mimi binafsi ingekuwa kazi ngumu kwangu kukaa mbali na familia yangu kuhudumia taifa. Ningependa serikali iwaangalie, wabunge wapate heshima mahali popote wanapotembea. Wanajeshi wapate heshima mahali popote wanapotembea. Wapate makazi mazuri. Waheshimike wakati wanaposafiri na wakati pia mahali wanapoishi. Utapata hata sehemu zao za makazi na malazi ni duni sana. Ingekuwa vyema katika hali ya kuwaheshimu kwa kazi ngumu wanayofanya, wapatiwe ile tunaita priority kila mahali wanapoingia. Hawa ni ndugu zetu na tutaishi na wao, na tunajua kazi yao wanaoifanya ni kazi ya kujitolea, lakini mishahara yao, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanapata mishahara duni sana. Na pindi wanapostaafu, wanajeshi hawa mara nyingi maisha yao huwa ni duni kwa sababu ya yale mapato ambayo walikuwa wakipata wakati wakihudumia taifa hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekutana na wanajeshi wengi sana ambao wanaishi maisha ya uchochole. Miaka imesonga, hawezi kufanya kazi yoyote. Wengine wanaenda mpaka amesharitaya kutoka kwa jeshi, lakini anatafuta kibarua katika hoteli zile zilizoko kule kwetu upande wa pwani. Unakuta bado anatafuta kibarua tu afanye kwa hoteli kama security officer. Ni jambo la aibu. Tunapenda na wao pia wakistaafu waweze kuishi maisha mazuri, wao na watoto wao pia waweze kupata elimu na maisha yaweze kuendelea vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, hakuna watu wengine watakaowatetea isipokuwa ni nyumba hii idumishe na itengeneze sheria maalum ya kuweza kuwalinda ndugu zetu wale wanajeshi. Basi niseme asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na naunga mkono hoja hii iliyoko mbele ya bunge hili iliyoletwa na dadangu Captain Ruweida, mheshimiwa mbunge wa Lamu Mashariki. Asante sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you. Member for Kilifi North.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion that the Honorable Ruweida Obo has brought, a very important motion. Honorable Speaker, our armed forces deserve a lot of respect. They sacrifice a lot for this country to put this country safe and to ensure that our borders, in and without our borders, we are safe. And therefore, to give them just that one privilege, that when it comes to boarding, just like we see in other jurisdictions in this country, we hear women and children, then we hear armed forces, then you hear senior citizens, just that protocol, that recognition, so that they do not queue like any other person. And I would like it even to be expanded to other places where even in the banks, the general does not have to queue, you know, when he comes for service, because he has sacrificed. These are people who are always on the firing line, and we would like to accord them that. But more important also, Honorable Speaker, is also to look at the welfare, because this is part of welfare of our armed forces. The greatest welfare that we can accord our armed forces is for them to be able to use equipment that is safe, equipment that is solid, not equipment that will backfire on them. For example, if you see, we've had very many accidents, air accidents especially, involving equipment or machinery or aircrafts, especially for the armed forces and the police. We have lost a significant number. As a country, we must review that so that our military are accorded equipment that can help them manage their trade better. But I also want to say here, Honorable Speaker, as we take care of the military, we also need to take care of our state officials. Honorable Speaker, I have looked at the presidential jet. The presidential jet has been there. In books, probably it is written off. But because we are a country that we are, we still want our president to travel on the same presidential jet. That presidential jet is piloted by the Kenya Air Force. The people who work in that presidential jet are Kenya Air Force officers. Just like we want to buy equipment for these others, we also need to give these officers who man the presidential jet a jet that can assure them of their safety as they travel from one place to the other carrying the president and his entourage. We must, as a country, budget for a new presidential jet. so that we can retire this current presidential jet and have another one. And this House has the responsibility, Honorable Speaker, to start putting a budget line and the first budget so that...
The Honorable Ndindi,
Honorable Dindi Nyoro is...
Honorable Ndindi, I want you to listen to the Honorable Baya, because he's speaking to you.
Yes, Honorable Dindi Nyoro, please sit closer to me here so that you can hear what I'm saying. I'm saying, Honorable Dindi Nyoro and your budget committee, you need to put a budget line in the current budget to start budgeting for a new presidential jet, even if it's not William Ruto who will use it, but the next president of this country should be secured, his flight should be secured by having a new presidential jet. This presidential jet that is being used now is an old machine, is an old equipment that now must be retired and probably put in the museum so that those people who never knew about Honorable Daniel Arap Moi, never saw his reign, we credit him for buying that jet that particular time so that even Roku can go and see that jet because he was not there during Arap Moi's time. But I want to emphasize, Honorable Speaker, we have an obligation to provide the president and his entourage a safe equipment in the air as they travel to represent this country. That we must do with urgency, and I think we can find the money to buy that new equipment, including the Deputy President's plane. I have traveled with him, you know, once, and I know the quality of that aircraft. It needs to be replaced so that we can keep everybody safe. If we want to keep our armed forces safe, let's give the head of state, who is the commander-in-chief, also a safe equipment to travel in this country and outside the country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
For Mosop. Honorable Ruku, your chance will come.
Ruku.
Definitely.
Constituency yako ni ndogo sana. Hata ni ya juzi. Switch off.
Member for Mosop.
You can even start talking on mine.
No, you're out of order. Honorable Ruku, you're out of order. Totally. You see me your seat. Member for Mosop. Come and use this one. You cannot place the member from Mosop. What is wrong with the mic? Wrong with the, come and use this one that is on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity that you've given me. Allow me, first of all, to send my sincere condolences to the families of the soldiers that we did lose last week. I want to sincerely send my condolences to the family of Okola and the rest of the soldiers who were involved in the helicopter crash while they were in the line of duty. Very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that we did lose very, very valuable people to this nation just because of mechanical errors. It's unfortunate also the Deputy Majority Leader mentioned the concerns that he has over the plane of His Excellency the President and his team, which actually makes me wonder if we are now safe. But Mr. Speaker, these soldiers serve this country every single day. They go to risk areas, they sacrifice their lives on behalf of the people of this country. We lost Colonel Sawe, Major Sawe from my constituency, coming from the same village. A young man who served in the KDF for quite some time, and he has helped a lot of people. It is very unfortunate that we've lost such a talent at a very young age, and I want to send also my condolences to his wife, his children, and the people of Mosop, that we've lost a very, very crucial individual who really contributed a lot to the development of our constituency. And the rest of the soldiers as well who was lost in that particular crash. And I want also to support this motion by Honorable Rueda, a Member of Parliament, for two reasons. One, Mr. Speaker, these soldiers sacrifice too much but we don't really appreciate what they do. In most of the countries, when you travel, they give first priority to those who have served the country, those who are in service, and those who have even retired, those who are active and those who have retired, before anybody else boards, either the first class and then they stay the servicemen. They do that because they want to appreciate of what they have done or the services that they have rendered to their nation. And so this particular motion that they are urging the national government through the Ministry of Roads and Transport to encourage the local airlines to establish priority boarding protocol for the Kenya Defense Forces and also the Special Forces, I do support, because it is the least we can actually do. Because every time we are asleep, most of these people, they don't sleep because they want to make sure that our nation is safe. And most of the time, we truly don't just think about them. When they come home, we want to celebrate them, but we don't just give it back. Most of them, Mr. Speaker, once they retire, they live a very horrible life because either the salary was low, they were not prepared, and so when they get sick, they have to really resort to many other things. But I want to support most of the members who have really suggested that we establish a health insurance program for servicemen so that years after they've retired or they've gone home, they will continue to access good service, good medical service that is going to actually make a difference in their families and in them because they sacrifice a lot during their time in service. So I do support this particular motion to give them priority boarding in all airlines so that they just, they actually feel that they are being appreciated and we are actually giving them an opportunity so that they actually feel that they have done something for this country. So I stand here to support the motion and also to pass my sincere condolences to the families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Member for Nyeri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I start to give my condolences to the family of Major General Ogora and our soldiers. Also in Nyeri County, we lost one soldier, George Magondo. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the motion. Considering the members of the forces, the way they face life-threatening risks as they carry out their duties in those areas. And I would urge the leaders from those areas to come together and see how we can have peace, because you can see now we have lost our soldiers and we've been losing children and mothers. It is also important to accord the special privileges to our soldiers as they are our brothers and sisters. I also want to urge leaders in this house, we should stop playing politics, the way people are saying that maybe there was something, and that is why now what happened. We want to urge our leaders to allow the government to do the investigation, and we also need to consider that they have the Ogora's family and our soldiers, they have families and children. We need to be sensitive. Honorable Speaker, in Baringo, West Pokot, we've been having those chaos all along, and we have a committee called National Cohesion. We would urge the chair and the members of National Cohesion to come together, go visit those areas and know exactly what is happening. All the same, my final, I just want to say, Honorable Rueda, congratulations, this is long overdue. Let us support our soldiers, let us support our families, and I'm sure things will be fine. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Migori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this very important motion. First, I want to congratulate my sister for bringing this motion to the floor. We thank Almighty God for the families that lost their beloved ones, for giving them strength, and we ask Allah to give them more and more strength. Mr. Speaker, the plight of our soldiers is not just, as much as I support the motion, it is not just about giving them the protocol they deserve. They deserve respect. Respect starts from the highest office to the smallest office. And without being referred to as politics or politician, I think we owe Kenyans and most General Ogola in his death an apology. What we saw during his mass, where he was being blamed on something that God knows if he did or not, but in the African community, a dead person is given respect. I think it is very wrong for someone to come out and mention the things that were mentioned about General Ogola. At the same time, you sit down and wipe your tears. It's mockery to the dead. It's mockery to God. So I am requesting the government of Kenya to apologize to Kenyans and respect that the defense forces do not do politics, do not eat politics, do not practice politics, do not dance with the politicians. They are out there to protect us and protect our land. And so they deserve dignity of highest order. On behalf of Kenyan government, as the woman representative of Migori County, I apologize to Kenyans and the family of General Ogola. The Christians who worshipped with him said he was a man of integrity, a man who valued his job more than anything else, and you can see in his lifestyle how much he valued his country. It is absurd, and I request that God please forgive us for mentioning General Ogola in his death in such a manner that we did. May you, Allah, please forgive us. Mr. Speaker, our defense team, this is the first time in the history of Kenya that we have lost such an important person of the defense team. I am wondering, what has the government thought of as the emotions that were shed during General Ogola's death, other than his immediate family? There's a family that he worked with for 40 years. And in particular, I saw a lady who wept with a lot of pain. I don't know how close she was to her boss, but I'm imagining how many of them were weeping inside. How many of them were praying that I wish our general lived. I'm requesting the government to offer emotional support to the defense team, especially those who are seen on screen crying bitterly and sadly about the loss of the general. So please let us support them emotionally. If we leave them like this, that is a very sensitive area, and knowing that he has lived there for 40 years with them, just leaving them there.
What is out of order, Honorable Ruku?
Mr. Speaker, I think it's not appropriate for the honourable member to bring in a lady who was mourning and trying to cast aspersions that this lady was extremely close to the general in a manner she would want to know. Please, it is important to leave the family of the late Ogora to mourn in peace.
Thank you.
It is unfortunate.
Thank you.
For the honor.
That will pass. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Speaker, I would like to repeat that because he has commented about it. It might go out in the wrong way. Please give me the honor to do so. My dear brother, Mheshimiwa, I meant that that was his staff. That was a junior, and they had a relationship at work. And the way the lady was weeping, she deserves to be supported emotionally, and not only her. There were also men in uniform who were weeping, and they deserve to be helped emotionally. Please don't bring petty issues into a major issue like this. Be sensitive enough yourself, and use the right words when I'm using the right words. I am pissed off with that statement because I'm a Muslim woman and I know how much we respect our fellow women. That is insensitive of you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, this is your chance to contribute on this particular motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to, first of all, congratulate Honorable Ida for this motion. It's a very timely motion when this nation is going through some challenges as far as the security of our nation is concerned. Mr. Speaker, motivation within the military service, and not only military service, but also within the security sector is extremely important. How do we ensure the motivation in the military is achieved? One, the former General Torje came up with very, very key rules which are still guiding military up to date. so that military can be motivated, and that was to ensure when the army as a force is the CDF this year for the period of 4 years, then the next is rotational. We can go to Navy, we can go to Air Force. This is to increase the motivation within the military service. Mr. Speaker, this motion is also to ensure that the military is able to conduct its mandate, constitutional mandate, to defend this nation from external aggression or even internal aggression in the most appropriate and effective manner. Therefore, it is important to support this, Mr. Speaker. I happen to be in late Ogora's burial in Siaya. I attended the send-off, and it was a very dark day. And it's not only, it was not only the dark day for the people of Siaya, but also to all the family members who lost their loved ones in that crash. And they come from different parts of this country. Mr. Speaker, it is important we have improvement of military equipment, not only the arsenals of the military, but also the day-to-day equipment which they use, whether it is aircraft, whether it is the vehicles which they use. We must be able, this House must be able to be accountable as far as the budget which is allocated each and every year, which goes to improvement of the equipment which military uses, must be properly accounted for. And not only the military in terms of the generals and the service men who work in the military, but also the commander-in-chief of the Defense Forces of Kenya. The aircraft which the commander-in-chief uses must also be modernized. It is true the Air Force One, which the president uses, cannot be able to transfer from Kenya all the way to New York, from Kenya all the way to Europe. It is not, indeed, a very safe aircraft as it is at the moment. At this point, Mr. Speaker, it is good also to congratulate the late President Moi for achieving to ensure military discipline. Kenya military becomes one of the most disciplined forces we have in Africa, but also in the world. This is through effort of the late President Moi, plus other presidents who have served this nation, and the generals who have served the nation. Mr. Speaker, it is not only the military, but also the police service. It also requires ring-fencing its budget so that the budget can be able to be used properly, because we are having quite a number of challenges as far as police service of this nation is concerned. Mr. Speaker, we need to move with speed as a House to ensure those who are in security, whether in military or in police service and other security agencies, are well-resourced, including the National Intelligence Service. They are well-resourced to ensure the security of our nation becomes a priority. That's the only way we can be able to grow our economy. That's the only way we can be able to have investors coming in this economy, and our economy can be able to be predictable, and therefore creating more jobs for our youth and for the future generation. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
This chance goes to the member for Narok North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion on the establishment of a priority boarding protocol for KDF and KSF personnel. I want to support this motion, and I support this motion because this is very important to our soldiers. These are people who don't sleep. These are people who are never with their families. They are always away from their families. And when we look at our relatives who are in KDF or soldiers, you look at them and sympathize with them. Because these people have no time to develop their families, or to be with their families and take care of their families. So, for us as members of parliament, we would like to look into this issue and go to a step ahead to make sure that we look into their welfare. Because these people, after retirement, they are overused in the work they do in their career, so that when they come back home, they are not even able to do anything else. And when they come, these people are not healthy because they have never gotten an opportunity to go for the insurances so that they can go to the hospitals that they need. So these people, we should look at them as our brothers and appreciate the work they do. And we shall appreciate the work they do by making sure that we look at their welfare. The condition they live in is not very good. So I think it is time we take a step to make sure that they live in the way other Kenyans live. So I take this opportunity to thank the Member of Parliament for Lamu East for bringing this motion. It is an important one, and I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Sotik. Elisha, you'll have to put your card here. You won't get a chance to speak if you have no card. You can be sure about that. Just go up there. There's a place they leave a temporary card over there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also contribute on this very important motion. On the onset, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in condoling the families and the nation on the losing of our gallant soldiers during the helicopter crash. Mr. Speaker, while I condone the families and relatives of all the 9, 10 soldiers who passed on, I want to single out our General Ogola. Mr. Speaker, I watched the funeral service from beginning to the end. And Mr. Speaker, what came out is that this was one of the best soldiers in this country. And Mr. Speaker, I, on behalf of the people of Sotik, want to request that as part of our honor for this general, I want to request that one of the streets, one of the roads, one of the streets in Nairobi be named after General Ogola, so that it can remain as part of our history. Mr. Speaker, I want to state here that I have had an opportunity to work with these soldiers very closely when I had a tour duty in the northern Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, I want to attest here that these people are working in very difficult situations. Mr. Speaker, when they are out there, you cannot understand what they go through. But Mr. Speaker, I have seen them, and I know what they are going through. And Mr. Speaker, when Honorable Member from Lamu East brings in this very important motion, I allowed her. I want to thank her because it is very timely. Mr. Speaker, I've also worked in West Africa, and I managed to visit these people when they were on a mission in Sierra Leone and Liberia. And Mr. Speaker, the kind of honor which they are given out there is unparalleled. Mr. Speaker, in Liberia, for example, people talk about Kenyans, not because of ambassador, it's because of the soldiers who work in that country. They work very well and they serve this country very well. There are others who worked in other places like Yugoslavia, in Somalia, for example, where they have really gone through a lot of hell. And Mr. Speaker, when we ask for travel privileges for these Kenyans who are working hard for this country, I don't think we are asking for too much. We are just asking that they be given those privileges. And Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Lamu East MP to also look at a way of benchmarking so that we know what happens in other countries. How are soldiers given privileges in other countries? Because, Mr. Speaker, when you travel in the airport, you find that some soldiers from other countries are given better privileges to go through the airport, and ours are not given. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to believe that this motion can be discussed more so that we can be able to know what can be done. And we want the best, Mr. Speaker. So we are thanking the mover of this motion, but we want her to go in depth so that he can be able to give us the best practices in this world, so that these people of Kenya can be given the best. Mr. Speaker, I also want to say that we also need to look at the lives of families who are left behind, because these families are also suffering. The government needs to look at this issue, and so that the families can also be able to live in a better life. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the motion.
Thank you. Member for Game.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support the motion by the Honorable Captain Rueda Obo. And I think she edifies the importance of our military in securing the safety of this country and ensuring that our borders are safe. The role that they are carrying for the country is a sacrifice on itself. So I totally agree with her that they should be given preference in terms of protocol when they're boarding our local airlines. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, allow me to pass my condolence to the passing of General Ogola. I had a rare privilege on the 7th of October 2023 to share a meal with him and the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in his house in Siaya Alego. Of course, the Honorable Karoli was also a part of the delegation that visited General Ogola. The wife and the family, together with their relatives, welcomed us to the home of General Ogola with a lot of hospitality. We had a good meal and we shared a lot of jokes in that moment. So my heart goes out for General Ogola, a man who had a great demeanor, a man whose heart was full of a lot of humility. And we as a community has lost a great son of Lowland. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, allow me to welcome in the Speaker's Gallery the officials of the Africa Youth Leadership Forum. This is a forum consisting of Secretary Generals of universities in the country, including, it's a long list, I just read very quickly, including Brian Wekesa of St. Paul's University, Christopher Nyakundi Thomas of Kabak University, Peter Wekesa of African Nazarene University, Levis Omusa of Machakos University, Wekesa Tibo of Ramadan of University of Embu, Maurice Mzalendo of Taraka University, Anode Nyangenya Umaye of Scott Christian University, Remy Ouma of MMU, Kennedy Wangari of Strathmore University, Mwangi Peter Mbugo of Marist International College, Carlos Abich of Mount Kenya University, Brother Philip of Presbyterian University, Alex Jorego of Southeast Kenya University, Shishia Baraza of Kiriri Women, Gati Lavenda of Kabarak University, Ramesh Saxena of University of Nairobi, Sharon Musiaka of TUM, Runio Kepngiticho of KCA University, Timothy Gitongo of JQuat, Emmanuel Yogo of Machakos University, Kenneth Daudi Misioki of St. Paul's, Felix Maina Muchai of Pan-Africa, Ogise Brian of University of Nairobi, Mark Brian of Mukundi of Africa International University, and Lewis Protas of JQAT, and Michelle Maura of KU. They are also accompanied by their secretariat members. We should welcome them to Parliament this afternoon and hold our proceedings. Thank you. And at this point, I'll give the Honorable Osoro, who I'm told is the interlocutor, to say a word in a minute, in 1 minute.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, is just to welcome the student leaders from the 25 universities of our country, the Secretary Generals. Honorable Speaker, these students came for a mentorship program organized by the Bunge Fellowship that meets every Wednesday at 6 a.m. in the morning to 8. And today, last week we had chairman for the mentorship program, and the mentor then was Honorable Elachi. And today, in their wisdom, the Bunge Fellowship felt like I should be the lead in terms of mentorship, assisted by the Honorable Kagushia. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to welcome them, wish them all the best even as they continue pursuing their dreams, and tell them that today you may be seated in the Speaker's gallery, but by God's grace, a day, tomorrow or a day after tomorrow, you'll find yourself in plenary. So welcome and thank you very much.
Honorable members, Honorable Watch, I think the time for this motion is spent. The time for this motion is spent. I now call upon the mover of this motion, the Honorable Rueda Obo, to reply. She's well advised. She's going to do what you need her to do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will contribute 1 minute to 5 members. One, Anthony Olwech Madare. Is he here? Ayuko? Okay. Another one, okay. Let's go to Harrison Kombe, Magarini. 1 minute, please.
How many minutes are you giving out, Honorable Reda? Just call them out so that we know them, all of them together. So you said Anthony Olwech, Harrison Kombe. The next one is? It's her chance, not yours. It's her chance to say who she's giving, not you to say.
Okay. Anthony Olwech, Harrison Kombe, Mheshimiwa Shakil Shabir, Pauline Samburu, County Women Rep, and we can put 2 more because Mheshimiwa Osoro has already spoken. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Can give another one. The 2 gentlemen there.
Okay. I would request that each of you take.
So 5 members, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Honorable Watch.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Reda, for giving me this 1 minute and for bringing this motion. I join the rest of Kenyans and my colleagues in condoling General Ogola, as well as the other 9 gallant generals who lost their lives. Honorable Speaker, apart from the motion that we have put on the order of precedence in terms of protocol for boarding, I would like to suggest that this motion itself must not remain as a motion. This motion must look at other regulations, including the order of precedence, and to look at circumstances in which the propositions and the ideas that have been brought here can be brought in way of an amendment bill. We must also look at other travel protocols. Who accompanies a CDF when he goes on such visit? What kind of visits must he go to and not go to? 707 Boeing airplane has now been subjected to test, meaning that we must look at.
Okay, the Honorable Kombe. You got a minute.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante Mheshimiwa Rueda kwa kunipatia hiyo dakika moja. Nami nipate kutuma risala zangu za rambirambi kwa jamii walioondokewa na wapendwa wao. Na niongeze kusema kwamba mbali na kuwapatia nafasi maafisa wakuu wa jeshi katika kuabiri ndege,
pia hali hiyo hiyo ingeweza kuongezewa kwa maafisa wengine ambao bila wao haingekuwa rahisi afisa wa jeshi kuweza kufikia ile ngazi ile. Nikizungumza hivi, tunao maafisa katika ngazi ya kielimu, tunao maafisa katika ngazi ya kidaktari ambao wanastahili kupewa heshima katika huo muongozo wa ni nani anastahili kuja kwanza. Niseme asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa hayo yakaweze kuwekwa kwenye fikra, na tunapopata mswada wenyewe tutazidi kuchangia. Asante.
Thank you. The Honorable Shakil.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, first I want to thank Honorable Captain Rueda for allowing me that 1 minute. I want to give my condolences to the Army and the loss of the KDF staff. Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue, I support the proposal, but it stops by only talking about protocol on boarding. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are many times I've seen Army officers in uniform sitting outside waiting for boarding. I think we should extend this particular privilege to the VIP lounge, and if VIP lounge is allowed. We have this VIP lounge at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport domestic, which seems to have been taken over by Kenya Airways, who never pay, have never paid anything to the local.
Thank you. The Honorable Pauline Langros.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this time to send my condolences to the family of General Ogola and the other soldiers that lost their life through the tragic accident. Mr. Speaker, I want to say pole to the families, and also I believe that this kind of accident or a tragic accident should send a strong message to the government, that because if we had peace in the region that the accident happened, I'm sure we could not have lost the lives of the soldiers. And the counties that have lacked security for a long time, Mr. Speaker, we have lost so many young people, and this should send a clear message to the government that we need to invest. We need to restore peace within the counties that have fighted for a long time, and also take care of the properties of the people that are losing their lives and properties every day. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to eulogize with the families.
Be mindful of the fact that you only have 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to eulogize General Ogola and the Guardian soldiers that we lost in that tragic accident. And Mr. Speaker, in eulogizing the soldiers, we say in every occurrence, we need to learn lessons. Now that we lost our gallant soldiers and we've already lost them, Mr. Speaker, the best thing as a country we can do is to learn lessons. One, Mr. Speaker, this is not the only outdated and old aircraft that the forces and other senior people in this country are using, Mr. Speaker. So we should not wait again until we have such another accident by the forces or a senior person in government, and then, Mr. Speaker, we start looking startled, Mr. Speaker, because I believe even the plane that is being used by the President, the Deputy, and other senior people in the forces are these outdated planes, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of banditry. We lost these generals because of banditry issues. It's the high time as a government that we cracked this banditry issue once and for all, Mr. Speaker, because even families there.
Thank you. The Honorable Rueda, you now have 2 minutes to wind up. You gave out all your time.
I need a few minutes. Okay, so I think 4 for me is enough. You can give 1 more.
You'll get 2 minutes, because that's what you have now.
No, I need them to continue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to clarify that the title captain, I'm not from the forces. I am a pilot by profession. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the leadership of the House and also thank all members for their contribution. For sure, Mr. Speaker, the role of KDF and Special Forces cannot be overemphasized. For members of Parliament to be in this House and carry out their duties, they require some people on the ground to safeguard them and their property, and those are none other than KDF and Special Forces, who are at this moment are in the forest, walking in the forest, for us to be here. Mr. Speaker, so many soldiers have died for us in the past before this incident of General Ogola and other officers. In some country, Mr. Speaker, when officers have gone for mission and their wives are taken by other men, such men are given heavy punishment by the court. But here in Kenya, there is no such provision. Mr. Speaker, some of the problems our officers go through are shocking. Mr. Speaker, some of the remarks that politicians make in this country contributes to suffering of our KDF in the country. Mr. Speaker, why we didn't put, okay, Mr. Speaker, I did not have any intention of neglecting the police in my motion. In fact, the Special Forces are members of the police who have undergone a specialized training. We want to appreciate the ones who walk in the forest and stay in the forest for us to do our work. Mr. Speaker, when I introduced this motion in the Parliament, the late General Ogola was very happy. Several other senior military officers called me and appreciated the initiative. They said that as a country, we are going in you are heading towards the right direction because of working on the welfare of our military. Some of them said, at least someone is appreciating. There are people who can see what we are doing. Mr. Speaker, so this motion is just a small thing towards the appreciation of work that our KDF and Special Forces do. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, these things are happening elsewhere, like in the US, where the military desk is established in airport to serve military officers, just like diplomats and UN staff. Mr. Speaker, finally, Mr. Speaker, the implementation of this motion does not require any funding from the government, and therefore it is cost-free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Members, the decision on this motion will be made the next time it's loaded in the order paper. Next order.
Order number 10, the Public Service Internship Bill, National Assembly Bill number 63 of 2022, second reading.
Thank you. The mover of the bill is Honorable Naisula Lesuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity, and I beg to move that the Public Service Internship Bill 2022 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, the import of this bill is to establish a legal framework for the regulation of internship programs within the public service. Article 55 of the Constitution provides that the state shall take measures, including affirmative action programs, to ensure that the youth have access to entirely relevant education, training, and employment. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to ensure the provision of a monthly stipend, insurance, and other entitlements to persons engaged in internships within the public service for the duration of the internship program, and that is at the national level and also at the county government level, Mr. Speaker. The provision of stipend to interns is necessary as the interns contribute to the manpower of the organization by offering their professional skills as apprentices. Mr. Speaker, this proposed bill comes at a very crucial time in this country when our doctors are on strike, the interns, where they are saying that they have to be paid commensurate to the work that they are doing, Mr. Speaker. I will not want this conversation to hinder the debate or our mindset to just be tied to the issues of intern doctors, Mr. Speaker, when we'll be looking at this bill, but to look at interns across the public service sector, both at the national government and also at the county government level, Mr. Speaker. It is important to note that this bill, I started working on it in the last parliament, but I revived it in this 13th parliament, Mr. Speaker, because I know the great important role that our interns play in offering service to our country, Mr. Speaker. I remember when I joined the national broadcaster KBC, Mr. Speaker, after I finished my bachelor's. And I remember when I was recruited there as an intern, I was required to pay 1,000 shillings. This is an intern who has just completed her education, looking forward to get somewhere to get some skills and expertise in the field that I studied in. And I'm just from paying my school fees. I have nowhere else to get money. I'm expected to have transport money to go to work. And again, the institution that has offered me internship requires me to pay 1,000 shillings. And maybe at the position that I was in, I was able to afford my lunch, my transport, and even dressing. You're supposed to dress appropriately when you go to work. But there are some of my colleagues there who could not even afford that 1,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. And so this really formed the basis of my experience as an intern, to think that as institutions and as a government, we have to really look at interns when we employ them, because it's actually a form of also, it's really not a contract employment, but the manpower that the interns give. Actually, in some institutions, you'll find that the interns put in so many hours, even compared to those who are employed or those who are on contract, but they do not get a single cent, even just to motivate them for the work that they do, Mr. Speaker. I remember that personally, when I was an intern, I decided to give my best, because I wanted that at the end of my internship, the institution will not want to get rid of me, but will want to actually employ me at the end of my service as an intern because of the kind of work that I had put. And I ensured that I worked so hard, just like those who were employed, Mr. Speaker, that when my internship came to an end, I was offered a job at KBC, Mr. Speaker. And so we cannot ignore the role that the interns play, Mr. Speaker. And one of the debates that has been coming up, and what I have been listening to most of my colleagues when we debate even about the intern doctors, is that we want to compare professions. We've just finished a motion here, Mr. Speaker, in regards to the military and our uniformed service men and women. And we discussed the critical role that they play in this country, Mr. Speaker. If you again look at the doctors, you will see the critical role that they play. When you look at the teachers, they also play a critical role, Mr. Speaker. And so for me, it is always a debate, and I think that is what we should look at as a country, because also others are debating, but why are members of parliament earning this amount of money? Why are judges? Actually, judges are asking that they get pension because, they should be considered. And the argument should be that each profession should be looked as the profession that it is and the service that that profession offers. You might not be able to quantify or to say that a CAS does the same job as a doctor. No, let us look at the doctor as a doctor. Let us look at a teacher as a teacher, and the role that each profession performs in this country, because I believe that each profession in this country is key and plays a critical role in the economic development of our country and the socio-economic development of our country, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Samburu West, I hate to interrupt you. I know you're on a roll already, but you'll pick it up from there the next time this business is not in the order paper.
Thank you,
time
Mr.
now
Speaker.
being 1 p.m. honorable members, this House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024, at 2:30 p.m.